Ici Londres.
Free trade, one of the greatest blessings that a government can bestow on a people, is in every country unpopular. So wrote Thomas Babington Macaulay in 1824. The great Whig sage was right then, and his words apply equally today. Indeed, it's the great paradox of our age. Open markets and unhindered commerce have lifted the human race to a pinnacle of wealth previously unimaginable. Extreme poverty has tumbled fastest in the previously closed economies in Africa and Asia that have joined the global market system. And yet, in every country, idealistic people are protesting against the market system that has made possible this miracle. In the West and in the developing world, well-meaning young people are occupying stock exchanges, protesting G20 summits, marching against trade deals, thinking that in so doing they're standing up for the poor against the multinationals, when of course in reality they're doing the opposite. How are we to explain this extraordinary paradox? Well, I think the explanation lies in 4 words: dispersed gains, concentrated losses. See, the trouble is that although protectionism, tariffs or restrictions of any kind always hurt an economy overall, they will favour particular groups. If, for example, you have a tariff designed to protect your sugar producers, then a small number of people will do extremely well, but all of the people who would buy sugar, the people who make confectionery, suffer a little bit, not enough to know whom to blame or how to vote accordingly. Let me give you a specific example. In 2009, Barack Obama imposed tariffs on Chinese wheels at the behest of the American United Steelworkers Union. And sure enough, those tariffs, which went up to 35% in stages, did indeed protect some 1,200 jobs, at a cost in lost revenue of more than $1 billion. Because of course, when they weren't able to buy the cheaper Chinese wheels, people had to buy more expensive wheels from elsewhere. So $1 billion to save 1,200 jobs. 1,200 jobs that paid something like $40,000 a year on average. So as a straightforward monetary equation, more than $1 billion was spent to make savings of $48 million. But actually it was worse than that. Because of course, when people couldn't spend the money that they would have saved by having the cheaper tyres on other things, they destroyed jobs elsewhere in the economy. Some 3,700 jobs were lost for the sake of protecting those 1,200 jobs. Some of them, almost certainly, jobs held by members of the United Steelworkers Union. And that's why, on any metric, protectionism never works. And yet, there will always be vested interests who do well out of it. Now, how can we tackle that basic problem? Politically, it's very difficult. But ultimately, the solution is simply to deliver the policy and then enjoy the benefits. You look at the countries that have done this, the Singapores, the New Zealands, the Hong Kongs, the countries that have opened their economies. In none of them does anybody seriously want to go back. Once the effects start showing and the vested interests are eroded, nobody ever wants to regulate the market again. Now, Singapore or New Zealand opening its economy is very good news for the citizens of those countries. And they have indeed benefited immensely. Their living standard has shot up, not least those of the poorest people previously in those territories. But the United Kingdom doing the same thing. 65 million people, a G7 country, that doesn't just help us. That benefits the entire world.